very short intro. Hi there, and welcome to another edition of the MiamiHal Real Estate Show. As always, I have a great guest. We're going to introduce you to Vivian Fernandez. She happens to be with RE/MAX Advance Real Estate. That sounds familiar. That's where I am. But I have her on for a very specific reason. When you talk real estate, you really have to understand that the market is not Miami as a whole. It is made up of many, many communities. And so whereas I typically work south of downtown Miami in neighborhoods like Coral Gables, Pinecrest, South Miami, Coconut Grove, Palmetto Bay, Cutler Bay, Vivian, you have a specialty as well. Tell us what your specialty is.
Well, I'm actually a resident of Miami Beach for about 18 years already, and that's where I like to work. That's my playground.
So we talk about the real estate market throughout the country being very, very hot and a seller's market, correct?
Yes.
All right. So I'd like to have some sense from you whether or not you feel it's fair for people to be thinking, as the media typically tells them, hey, the market's hot everywhere, and therefore, you need to be in the market to make money or to, do something right now. Do you believe that's a fair statement?
Well, it just depends on the market that you're looking at. And that's the whole thing with real estate. There are different categories, and we have the single family home market, which right now really is hot, and it is completely a seller's market, whether it be Miami Beach, Pinecrest, South Miami, or pretty much anywhere in the country. But you also have the condo market. In the condo market, there are differences. In the condo market, it is a buyer's market right now in the condo market, and there are deals to be had.
So wait a minute, pause there.
Okay.
We talk about throughout the country it being a seller's market, and then you just said it's a buyer's market for condos on the beach. That's a head scratcher for most people. Explain that.
Well, okay, so pretty much pre-COVID, we had about a 3-year inventory of condos for sale in Miami Beach. The luxury condo market, there was a lot of developers that built a lot of new development. There was about 20,000 condominiums set to come to market with the new condominiums, and that didn't include existing inventory. And so if it was really a great time for a buyer to come and get a really great deal in a condo. If you wanted to try to buy something on the water, it didn't have to be necessarily on the water, whatever. I mean, there were deals to be had.
Okay.
And a lot of sellers wanting to sell.
So it's interesting because, again, much as I'm trying to really enlighten the people that are watching this video, I'm actually enlightening myself as well, because as I said, I have an expertise in areas not in Miami Beach. And in fact, when I have people that are interested in seeing Miami Beach or, some area outside my area, I really have to be honest with them, say, listen, I'm not the person that should be doing this. Let's briefly explore why you have an expertise on Miami Beach and why somebody that is either looking to sell or to buy should be working with an agent that is specifically educated and an expert in a particular area. So why? Why are you that expert?
Miami Beach is really diverse. And again, as I said, I've been living here. I've been living on Miami Beach for the last 17, 18 years. And you get to know the different neighborhoods, because even within Miami Beach is an island. Even within our island, there are different neighborhoods. So you have South of Fifth, which everybody calls Sophie. You have South Beach, which everybody calls Sobe. You have Millionaires Row, which at one time the city was trying to call Nobi. Didn't stick too much.
They tried to be a little too much New York.
Yeah. So you have Millionaires Row. Then you have, we keep going further up. You have Surfside, Bell Harbor, and then Sunny Isles, and then we cross over into Broward. So Miami Beach, and even within South Beach, you have you can buy a super cute condo In an Art Deco building, not many amenities. You're not going to find, it'll be hard to even find, parking. Most of it is street parking. You have some buildings that will have parking, some don't. And those you can get at a really good deal. And because especially if you're coming from New York, New Jersey, or Canada, or wherever you're coming from, which thankfully after, post-COVID, there has been a resurgence of people wanting to come and wanting to buy.
That's good.
Okay.
There are a lot of differences in the type of customers that are looking to move to Miami, that either being the beach or some other area. And there really is a difference, right? So I'll just give you a quick on the ground example. When I'm working with clients and we're moving from single family home to single family home, we are typically driving 2 cars and meeting at each of the stops on our tour. And then you probably do things very differently on the beach when you have a client that's looking to purchase, right?
Correct. So if the client knows where they want to be on the beach, let's say you have a client that wants to be South Beach and they want to be within, let's say, walking distance to Flamingo Park, which is an amazing park inside Miami Beach, which, has swimming and tennis and all of these great amenities that's open for the residents of Miami Beach. So if they want to be walking, so basically we'll meet up and then we'll walk to everywhere because we can walking distance.
And so walking versus driving not only talks about the type of real estate that's available in a particular area, but also potentially where these people are likely to make a purchase if they're from other areas. And let's focus on the Northeast, because what I'm hearing, and is generally the trend, is that people that are living in larger cold cities, especially during COVID, are looking to get out of those cities where it's super crowded. And many of them are thinking warm, fun, Miami. And when they're thinking Miami, at least it's my understanding that most people, when they picture Miami, they're not looking at one of the typical residential neighborhoods. They're thinking Miami Beach and downtown and all the fun things that we have as a culturally available to people. So are you seeing a lot of people from northern climates that are currently looking right now?
Definitely. We have people coming down. It's also so affordable for them. So even if oceanfront condo might not be affordable for a local, when they compare it to the prices in New York or Washington, D.C. or Chicago,
we seem really, like a relative bargain.
We seem like a relative
even with
bargain.
The prices the way that they are right now.
Correct. Okay. Even with the prices the way they are.
And I'm going to take a brief pause here. I do want to remind our audience that we have an open line of communication. You are just as important as the dialogue that we're trying to have here to educate you. So if you are online and able to type a question, we'd love to answer that as we go through this. Okay, so make sure you stay involved. And even if you're watching this as a replay, ask your questions, and one of us will get back on there and try to address it for you. So back to what we're talking about. So I've again found 2 things interesting. One, you are seeing a noticeable influx of people from the northern climates. And also, you said that it is a buyer's market for condos on the beach.
Correct.
Which is, and the opposite of what we're seeing almost everywhere else.
Correct.
And you're saying that's because there's so much development happening and there just isn't the ability to absorb that inventory.
Correct. Although I will tell you that the 3-year inventory that we had, it is shrinking. So
okay.
So things are getting bought up. Things are heating up already. And if you are looking at let's say, when you're buying in a condo, it's really important, if you want to have a view, don't want to have a view. So if you're in a building, there's certain lines that are more favorable than other lines because you have a better view, or you want the south view so you can see the downtown versus the north view. Or if you want the view towards the intracoastal, towards the city instead of the view towards the ocean. So different lines might be a little more competitive.
Got it.
But there is definitely, if you're okay with maybe not purchasing right on the water. You want to purchase across the street, you can still. We have the boardwalk. You can still walk on the beach and still have access to the beach without a problem. Those will be a little bit better priced. But overall, we're still in a buyer's market, and there's still some great units that you can buy.
So a buyer that, again, trying to come down and enjoy the warmth and the fun that is Miami Beach, they have, let's say, $250,000, and another buyer has $1.5 million. Is there really an opportunity in a market for both those types of buyers on Miami Beach?
There's definitely opportunity for both. So a person that wants to buy something that's $1.5 million is probably going to be in one of those, beautiful buildings that recently, like, the Icon or whatever. It's all, newer construction, a lot of amenities. Whereas opposed to if you're buying something that's $250,000, now we're not getting the same amenities, but you'll have beautiful charm because you'll be in an older Art Deco, gorgeous building with gorgeous landscaping. Something down, one of my favorite avenues on Miami Beach happens to be Meridian Avenue. It's so beautiful because of the gorgeous trees that are up and down Meridian Avenue. So that's a different feel than when you want to be direct ocean front. And so that's where you're going to get the main price difference, whether you are on the ocean with beautiful ocean views or you're inside in the interior where you still have access to the ocean, but you're not going to have that view.
So bring your expertise to the table and kind of share with me, what are your tips and tricks for somebody that says, oh, I really want to be on Miami Beach, but I don't know much about it. How do you address those folks, and how do you get them up to speed so that they can make a informed decision on a place to purchase?
So when you have people wanting to purchase on the beach, I always recommend you come during the week. Mm-hmm. The reason being is because Miami Beach does have parking zones. And on the weekends, if you come on the weekends, it's going to be hard for you to find parking because you don't want to get your car towed. And so if you come during the week,
check. Number one, don't get your car towed.
Exactly. Don't get your car towed. It's happened to me once and never again. So it does happen.
That's how you became an expert.
Exactly. The hard knocks way.
Okay.
Hard knocks way of doing things. So I always tell people, come Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Yeah. That's when we're allowed to park. It's not because I don't want to come and show you something at 7 p.m. or on a Saturday. It's just we park somewhere and then we can walk within the neighborhood. The other thing is knowing what type what's really important to you. Like, do you need to have a balcony? Do you want to have a view? Some people don't care about views. They just want to have, a super charming. They can walk to everything, and they're in the middle of South Beach, and they can walk to whatever they want. Then you have other people that don't want to be in the middle of South Beach, and maybe they want to be a little further, but they want to have a balcony. They want to have, gorgeous view. They want to be on the water. They want to be where the boardwalk is, so they can, walk up and down the boardwalk or exercise. What amenities are super important to you? For those people that don't mind, that they don't mind, they'll get a better deal in a building that's not going to have a gym, but there's tons of gyms in South Beach. I mean, you have the best gyms in South Beach, although I don't go to them, but I do have the opportunity to because we have so many.
Yeah, I have one of those beach pods too.
Exactly.
Not really.
Right. And so, a lot of the newer buildings will have, state-of-the-art gym. And they'll have valet parking, and they will have, and those are the ones that are going to be more in the $1 million plus. And we have up to, right now, 3 doors from where I live, they're building 57 Ocean. And the penthouse there is going for $38 million. So we have all sorts of prices.
Buyer probably won't be walking into that building anytime soon.
No.
So we talked about tips and tricks, and you're giving some ideas about choices that people have in general areas. Is there a true tip or trick, let's say, for one of these newer buildings that's high rise and has all those amenities versus what to maybe even look out for when you're looking at an Art Deco building that was built many, many years ago? Are there things that people should be concerned or at least paying attention to?
Well, definitely. The older Art Deco buildings, most of them were built in the 30s and 40s. And there's something called the 40-year recertification that Miami-Dade County has for all buildings, And so those buildings, most of them should have gone through the 40-year recertification, the Art Deco older ones. And it's when the building is forced to, the county has requires an engineering report, which the building has to provide, and it has to show the plumbing, the HVAC system, the roofing, and all the structural side of the building, and it has to be brought to code. And buildings that were built in the 30s, 40s weren't at code, so they have to bring things up to code, and that can trigger what they call special assessments. And
so in the
that's
older,
what you have to
smaller
see.
buildings, which
But it
tend to
could
be
be
less expensive,
Right.
at least to purchase,
right,
can have, we'll call them what they potentially are, hidden costs.
correct.
So you move in and you hit one of these periods of time where it has to be recertified.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden, because the plumbing needs to be replaced and it's a big job, it needs to be assessed to each of the owners of that building.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
After the 40 years, because I know this, I just want to make sure the audience understands this. From 40 years from when it was built is the first time that it needs to be recertified to make sure it's at current codes and safe. Essentially, the certification is about safety for the residents.
Exactly.
After that first 40 years, how often is the process after
It's
that?
every 10 years thereafter. Every 10 years, the building has to get an engineering report to see how it is up to that day's code. So every 10 years thereafter, there will be a check. But usually the biggest hits come at that 40 year, because it's been 40 years worth of codes that have changed. And that's the way it works. And by the way, even some of the newer buildings, they may not have to go through the 40 year. Just living in Miami Beach with the sea air, the salty sea air, a building that may last, structurally with concrete, or rebar, may last 30 years inland, on the beach, may need to have some kind of restoration or refurbishment, after 15 years. So even those newer buildings will have to go. It's just a part of Miami Beach living.
We've talked primarily about people that are coming down here to purchase, but that's only half the pancake, as they say, right?
Right.
The other half is people looking to sell. Do you work with sellers on Miami Beach?
All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Tell us about what is a typical seller thinking when they're ready to sell and move somewhere else. What's their first thought? And I know that's not true of every single seller, but tell me what generically people are thinking about when they're ready to sell and what they should be thinking about.
Well, just like even single family homes, when the seller wants to sell, it's time to look around your place. There's only so much you can do with the building, but if your unit, is it freshly painted? We live in an HGTV era, and people want it to look turnkey.
Right.
And they don't want to have the hassle of having to fix a unit up, change a flooring or anything like that.
We call that bring your own toothbrush, and that's about it. Right?
Exactly. So, especially when you're looking in the Miami Beach condo market, it really is. The buyers that are coming down, they don't want to having to deal with Miami Beach code or anything like that. They want it done. They want it done. And by the way, also, it's real important, especially Miami Beach, is that you have impact.
By the way,
hurricane impact.
If you hear that ringing, that's a good thing for real estate agents.
I know.
When the phone rings, that's a good thing, and it is muted, but not a problem. So what do you tell sellers, given that it is, at least with the condos, a buyer's market on Miami Beach, which again, conversely to what is happening elsewhere, what do you tell those sellers about how to approach their sale and how to take advantage of what they can in this market?
So they should get the property ready. If you don't have hurricane shutters or impact windows, get them, because that's one of the first things that the people are going to ask. Let's do a fresh coat of paint. You might not want to do the flooring or anything, but let's get a fresh coat of paint. If the appliances are looking a little old, let's go buy some stainless steel appliances. Let's put them in, and basically make declutter just like you do in a single family home.
Does the improvements and the changes that you just mentioned, does that do one or the other or both of these things? One, help the property sell faster. Two, help the property sell at a higher price point, or is it really both?
Because it's a combination.
Okay.
It's a combination of both.
Right now, where you're in single family homes in the areas that I work, the seller really doesn't have to do much at all. There's such competition just to find a property that it doesn't necessarily need new appliances. It doesn't necessarily need to have impact windows. As long as the property is in reasonably good shape, you're going to sell it. Not true on Miami Beach. You have to be more in tune with the lack of competition. And so therefore you have to cater to those buyers to get them to come in, right?
Definitely. You have to make it look beautiful. Okay. People have an image of what a Miami Beach condo should look like, and so you want to try to match that.
What should a Miami Beach condo look like? Paint the picture so that, again, both sides, buyers and sellers, can benefit.
So again, it's looking, not cluttered, where it's, it looks fresh and new and light and airy is very important. And they just want to come in and feel like, okay, you can't do anything about the view, which is when you're a buyer, those are the things that you look at. But you have, once you purchase it and you want to sell it, your view is your view. So let's make everything else look great. If you have an amazing view, many times people will overlook the physical imperfections. If you don't have an amazing view, then let's get it to look beautiful. Let's get it to look perfect.
Let's hit another topic before we wrap up, and that is financing. As we all know, we've got historically low interest rates, which is wonderful. It may not be quite as clear a picture or as clear a path for somebody looking to purchase a condo on Miami Beach. Can you just kind of explain where there are additional steps that might be necessary, or what's going on simply? How do people finance a property purchase on Miami Beach that's a condo?
Okay, so it's a great question, Hal.
That's why I'm here.
That's why you're here. Okay, so for a building, the lender it's not just about qualifying you as a person. They want to qualify the building as well. So if the building has reserves, that means they want to shows 10% of reserves of the annual budget in reserves. Then you can come in with 5% down, sometimes even 3% down. And that's just one of the benchmarks, whether the building has reserves. Another benchmark is the ratio of how many people have purchased as investment, so renters compared to owners. The lenders don't want to see a lot of renters versus owners / second home owners. The next thing that they're going to look at is, does the building have enough insurance? Mm-hmm. And things like that. So they're going to qualify the building as well. If you come in with at least 25% down, then they, instead of doing a 26 question condo questionnaire that the lender requires to get, they'll do what they call a shortened version, only 5 questions. So if you don't have a lot of money down, then we need to find you a building that has that checks off all those boxes.
Sure.
That the lender is looking for.
Okay.
And if you do have more, then it only has to check a couple boxes.
There's another piece of your expertise. So don't get towed and all the things you just talked about financing and how to get in there. I'm curious about Miami Beach, not just for buying and selling, but I think that a lot of people, when they think about Miami, their brain goes immediately to the sand and the beach, which is Miami Beach. And so they're in vacation mode. A lot of people aren't necessarily looking to purchase right away. And so they come down here, and rather than looking at traditional hotels, there's VRBO, Airbnb, and short-term ways to be around the country, around the world, in fact. But there actually is a very directed position by Miami Beach about how they want to handle short-term rentals like that. And a lot of the newer buildings in particular are strict about that. So again, share your expertise, because there's a lot to learn here about how people move around short-term on Miami Beach.
Okay, so there is miamibeach.gov on their website. There is a map to what the areas that they have designated as Airbnb
friendly,
okay. Correct, that they allow it. A lot of so that's a place that they should go, not just go into the Airbnb Verbo,
yeah.
Right? Sorry, apologize.
No
Once you're there and you find a place that you like, check it on the map, because you can get thrown out if it's not on that approved map. And the owners of those units that are doing that against those rules will get hefty fines, starting at $20,000, $40,000, and even $100,000. Wow. So they're
serious about it.
They're serious about it, and there's money behind it, and that's because, the Airbnb people, they're not paying the tourist tax, and that's money that the city's losing. So that's why they are very serious about this. But besides that, there are condo hotels on the beach, and they are set up for that. As well as, smaller boutique hotels that people can come and stay. And the other thing as well, when you're purchasing, is the condominium itself. Let's say it's in an area where the beach has designated okay for Airbnb. Doesn't mean the condominium will allow it, because every condominium is a world unto its own. And so they're governed by you. And when you purchase within a condominium, you are also signing off that you're going to abide by the rules and regulations. So you have some buildings that won't allow, let's say, rentals at all, but even long-term rentals for the first year. Or they'll tell you can do 6-month rentals or 3-month rentals, but they won't allow the Airbnb style. So, and besides, possible fines that you can get from the city if it's not allowed in an allowable area, then you have fines from the building itself. And the condominium boards, they have power where they can actually lien your property just as the city of Miami Beach can. Wow. So you just have to know the rules before you purchase. And that's our job as realtors, to tell you, okay, if you're looking for an Airbnb, then I'm going to find you those that are authorized Airbnb.
I'm going to test your expertise one last time. So I'm coming in from the Northeast, and I say I want to live on Miami Beach and raise a family, and you find me a fabulous place or several places that are fabulous that I'm going to make a choice from. And I say, but I'm really worried about all this transiency. I don't want to feel like I'm living in an area that's filled with Airbnbs and hotels and suitcases going in and out all the time. I want to live and raise my family. How do you allay their fears, or how do you answer that?
So if they're purchasing in a condominium, if you have the condominium rules will tell you whether if they won't allow those kind of rentals. So, and that's a good way, because then if they don't allow the rentals, they're going to be on top of that. They're going to know. Believe me, in my building, the front desk person, they know who's who, and they know when somebody strange is coming in, and that's the way and when you walk into a building, you're going to get the feel for the building and the atmosphere and the community that the building. So I purchased in a building that's a little bit smaller. There's only 3 units per floor. It's because what I felt that I wanted for my family. There are other buildings that are larger and have larger, more, a lot more units. My building only has 118 units. Then you have buildings like the Akoya that's 43 floors and over 400 units. But but by the way, Akoya does not allow Airbnb type, and they're very strict with that. So, it sets the tone of the kind of community that you want to live in. Do you want to have more amenities, or are you okay with a little bit less amenities and less people around you? So everybody's different. A lot of people, I think it probably happens to you. Your buyers will ask you, well, what do you think? Right. And I always go back to them and say, okay, I can't tell you because I'm not the one who's going to be living in it. You
Exactly.
have to tell me, how you feel. I'm going to make sure that the property you're purchasing, we're purchasing it at the right price. We're not overpaying, and that the property is in sound condition, and that's part of our job.
And you've informed them about the environmentals that will affect that building. That's great. Vivian, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I do want to let you know, yeah, absolutely. I do want to let you know this show comes on every week, Thursdays at 2. We always have a great guest like Vivian Fernandez here. And we are here to answer your questions and to help you achieve your real estate dreams. So if your dreams involve Miami Beach, I highly recommend you get in touch with Vivian.
Thank you.
She is great out there. And until next time, please remember the MiamiHal Real Estate Show is here for you. Ask questions, we will get them answered, and we always have that guest to give that expertise. Have a great day.